Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. I'd like to say that I've been super busy, but I haven't, even though I've been working on some stuff. Obviously, you know what's going on in the world today. I gloved up, mostly because it's still a little cool in my shop, and things are dirty out here, so that's why these guys are on. One of the projects I had done that I didn't actually get a chance to film, which would have been kind of cool, was I did my old swing arm went on a Busa, and I did that swap, and it actually went like really well. It was like one of those satisfying projects where, as I was doing the swap and as I needed different things to make it all fit and work and kind of fit and finish everything, and I had everything that I needed like on the shelves, it was kind of a satisfying deal. So that was pretty fun. One of the other things that's been going on is the Mama Tried bike show in Milwaukee that I was hoping to have my bike all set up to go in. Actually got canceled. Hopefully it just postponed. But either way, it didn't happen. Hopefully we'll get noticed that we'll have a really cool midsummer show or maybe something in fall. But who knows? I put a lot of work into the bike, kind of like last minute rush, get parts coming to try to get it ready to go for that show, and it just never happened. No biggie though. I guess there's more important things going on in the world. Just lucky I still get to go to work and get a paycheck, and we're actually really busy. So it still allows me to work on my toys and have some fun. But other things I've been working on was Fuel Tech came out with a new update for their software for using the pitch control that is already in the ECU to integrate it into wheelie control. So I actually set up a couple wheelie control tables in software. So I need to load that into the dash yet on the bike, but that should be kind of fun to play with. I did redo my scavenge pump setup on the bike, and I'll show you what I did there and kind of explain what was going on. I think I was having a pump prime issue. Bike would smoke out of the turbo every once in a while, and that only comes from one thing. So kind of redid a little fitting on that to hopefully fix the smoke issue I would have after the bike sat for a while. I did get a kick-ass rear brake set up on the bike. I'll show you what that looks like. It's really cool. It's like a no drag rear brake. It's super light, super awesome. I'll show you that sucker. And my chain came back from Cryo Treat from a place in California called Cryo Heat. So they do cryo treatments and heat treatments, but the chain came back. That was one of the things I was waiting for, kind of in a rush to get on the bike before that show. But either way, chain's treated and back and on the bike. Visually, there's nothing really to see. It's just a chain still. But I have been hearing guys running big power bikes getting a full season on these chains after they've been treated. So I look forward to that, because at $235 a chain, I don't exactly enjoy stretching them and having to run more than one in the season. My bike isn't quite on the power level of some of the Pro Street guys, so I don't think it was going to be a big issue for me, but never know. It's just nice to have durable stuff. And I had received some black front calipers to put on the bike. Factory came with gold, which I'm trying to get away from. So I got some later model black front calipers. I had to modify them a little bit to work with my my forks and rotor diameter, but it worked out slick. So this is just kind of my quick rundown of what I've still been working on. Nothing major, nothing big, nothing time consuming or expensive, but it's just trying to keep busy during this downtime. But I'll show you some of the stuff on the bike that I've been working on, and some of these things that I've swapped and changed out. So if nothing else, at least you can look at some mechanical stuff and take your mind off some of the crap that's going on. So enjoy the sneak peeks. So kind of hard to see, but there's the black calipers I put on the front. Pretty slick actually. I need to get rid of these gold rotors yet, but they are EBC rotors, and the bike does stop really freaking awesome. So hopefully I can just find something similar with the black center, or just something different in general. But cool thing on these calipers, I actually have titanium bolts holding them on. Pretty slick little hardware setup. Like I was saying, nothing fancy with the chain. Visually, you can't tell nothing's going on, but it's on there. Spins nice and slick like. So it's just one more thing done and off the list. One other quick thing I did was with the seat pan mounts up here, it used to stay pretty flat to where the bodywork rode. So the bodywork went straight over to the bottom of the seat pan. I decided I would lower the back down a little bit. It actually dropped. I usually jump my butt up on here about half track so I can get a little bit lower on the bike and put a little more weight to the rear, keep traction, I guess. But now when I get up on here, it's actually a little bit lower. So if you see, there's an opening here. My theory behind this is I actually get air into the tail, and hopefully that'll help with a little more cooling, because you can see the radiator's up in there. So I figure if I can get a little more air in, get a little more air out. And there actually is a fan up on the back side of this radiator. You can just barely make out the side of it through here. But it's a little 5-inch fan. Moves a lot of air, but it's just not a real big radiator. So the thing will run a little bit warm if I leave it run real long. But if I'm moving, it'll stay cool. So I figured just a little more air in there just will help things. After all, I do ride this thing back on the return road and around the pits and to the lanes and down the street and anywhere else I feel like going with it. It still holds almost 2 gallons of fuel. So here's a rear brake setup that I got, and I actually got this from a friend off of Facebook. John Gover makes all kinds of kick-ass stuff for really high-end drag bikes. But the rotor, he sells these rotors. I actually already had this rotor. I was using the stock R1 rear brake and hanger setup. But this is the new caliper and hanger that he sent me. It's a 220 millimeter rotor, but then it's this nice compact little caliper, and then super slick lightweight brake hanger. But this thing just spins like super nice and easy. Like, I'm not putting any effort into this thing, and it's just, you can even tell it, like, you don't even hear the brake dragging. The only thing I hear is the chain. So pretty slick little investment. Wasn't super cheap, but man, it's worth it. So here's the old R1 setup I was running. Clearly you can tell it's just not, it's not even comparable to how much nicer the new stuff is. And it's substantially lighter. That's the big kicker. So, the old and the new. So I'll wander our way up to the front side here. So this is my scavenge pump setup on the bike for the turbo. So you can see the line coming off the bottom of the turbo. Comes up, it's actually a crank-driven scavenge pump. So the fitting used to come off the bottom of this pump and just run straight down right to the turbo. I think the problem I was having is after sitting for a while, I think the pump was actually completely draining itself straight down. So what I did was just kind of clock the pump 90 degrees. So now the fitting for sucking oil out of the turbo comes out of the side here. So now, with any luck, the scavenge pump will actually retain a little bit of oil inside here and kind of keep its prime, I hope. I could be wrong. I could be totally blowing smoke up your ass. Either way, it's worth a shot to try. I had fittings in line, everything in stock. So no biggie. If it doesn't work, I'll try plan B. I don't have that yet, but there's always a plan B. Another thing I actually did was I changed out the inner clutch hub on my clutch. This is the one that came with the clutch, the MTC Gen 2 clutch from MTC. It's just the OEM one that they machined down. Issue I had, and I think honestly it was from running too little or too low of static pressure on the clutch. So there's a Torrington bearing or a thrust bearing that's behind the pressure plate that the clutch pusher pushes on to disengage the clutch. Well, I think I was running such low static pressure that it would disengage the clutch that when I would throw the lever away, there wasn't a lot of pressure to make that action quick and clean. And I think it was slow, being that it's a hydraulic clutch. The light spring pressure wasn't engaged in the clutch fast enough. And I think there was an issue with the washers on that thrust bearing were cocking, and it actually snapped it. 2 times it happened to me. The first time it happened, it broke them clean, 3 pieces. They fell out, and the clutch just instantly felt weird. The second time it did it, it broke it into a lot more pieces and ended up with debris in the motor, but I didn't catch it right away, and what happened was I got into this clutch hub between all the parts in there and just tore everything all to shit. Well, what I found is I went and I cleaned this all up, and I made it usable, but I was never really thrilled about the fact that, if you can see there is a crack running up and down right here. It kind of starts from this dark spot down here and runs up. But so the end, probably ½ inch of this clutch hub, had a crack in it for about actually, it was all of last season that was in there, because that was the old motor. This motor I freshened up last winter. So that was all last year that was cracked. But I think I fixed the issue because I never had another problem. I started running more static pressure when the bike started making more power. This damage all went back to when it was a nitrous motor still. So I didn't actually see the crack in it until I was doing some clutch service stuff mid last season. So that's why I was saying that, it's been like that since I was going to say middle of last year, but that's just when I found it. So it's probably been cracked, like I said, all of last season. So I had a friend of mine reach out, had a billet clutch hub, and sent it to MTC and machined it, got it in there. So now I'll keep this as an emergency backup if I need to, I don't know, odds are slim I'll ever make it to a final round, but if I'm in a final round and something's wrong and I need to replace it, it's a good part to have in the trailer. But peace of mind, it's just nice knowing that the one in there now is actually a nice billet one and everything's freshy new. And because I'm out here and I kind of want to fire it up, let it warm up for a little while, you can probably hear the battery charger's been humming for a while, but we'll power this thing up. Let it go through its warm-up deal here. It's about, what's the temperature? About 45 degrees in the shop today, so this ain't horrible. I haven't had a chance to work on a lot of cold start stuff on this bike yet. Every time I'd come out here when it was really freezing ass cold, I was working on mechanical stuff and I didn't have a chance to do a lot of tune stuff. So we'll see how it starts. See, the tire temp says 47, 46, 47 degrees. So that's pretty close to what the air temperature is. Coolant temp says about 50. So yeah, a little warmer than I originally thought, but we'll see how she starts. Cold-blooded. I wish you could smell this right now. Delightful. Everything's spinning nice and free. So checking for a few leaks, stuff I've changed. good?